Hey guys, it's Skybird, and today we're going to be taking a look at a small combination model, something from 2007, and also I wanted to chat for a handful of minutes about YouTube and the YouTube channel itself. So before we get into the talk, let's go ahead and take a look at this little guy. This is a combination of the Idris and Sarda Mari Matoran? Yeah, the Karzahni Matoran specifically. However, it does not use the dark blue Ruru, so this is a more affordable build. It does also use the Borak eyes from the trap in that set, so if you don't actually own that set but you have the pieces to make this, just throw in your own Borak eyes, or you can use the Mari eye stalk piece, the little short eye stalk piece on here as well. That does work, it just looks a little funky, so I've opted to use the Borak eyes instead. I think it's a pretty creative build given the amount of parts involved, because Idris and Sarda are really cool sets. All of the Mari Matoran are in general, but honestly, they don't give you a whole lot of parts to work with to make your own combination model. And what's really lacking with them is the connectors mostly. There's just a handful of different types of connectors, mostly duplicates of the same kind, which can make it difficult to do certain things. But this little bird here has a couple of little features. No functions built into this, but it can move the rear legs at 2 joints, at the ankle joint here and at the hip. It also incorporates the Huna mask on the back as sort of bulk for the tail, because I was going for sort of like a dodo bird type of aesthetic here, which I think this does hold up pretty well in that regard. The head can move at this joint, but the breathing tube on here will help to lock it in place, and that neck also locks these wings at this angle specifically. Without the neck being there, the wings could move around a little bit. Not that that's a bad thing, but I don't think it'd look as aesthetically pleasing, so I chose to forego that socket for the most part, locking it in place with the breathing tube itself. The head is jointed at the neck as well as at the top of the head because of the connection with the Borak tooth there. And yeah, I think that works out really well. I do have one other cute thing to show off in this video too, but before we show that, I want to talk for a handful of minutes about YouTube itself. So as you guys know, the channel here started really growing in the middle of November. Specifically on the 12th is when the video started taking off on the channel, and that was mostly because the video that I featured was a really cool build, if I do say so myself. And so because of that, in part, the channel has obviously gained more viewers, more people subscribing. And first of all, thank you for anybody who is subscribed to the channel and who's just watching and enjoying themselves. Most of the reason I create this content is to entertain, is to create something that maybe reminds you of your childhood. If you ever played with Bionicles or Legos in the past, maybe it drives a little bit of that nostalgia. And I can't honestly tell you how many comments that I've gotten, that I've seen, that are like, thank you for your content. You have like literally inspired me to get back into Bionicle. And that is honestly what I do it for. I've loved Bionicle all of my life. I have been into it ever since it came out in 2001, when I was just a little kid and got my first set for one of my birthdays. I don't remember which. I think my 7th birthday or something like that. But with that said, when I picked up that set, honestly, I was hooked from the moment, from the beginning. So my very first set was the Tahu Mata character specifically. I remember distinctly finding it on store shelves and buying it. It wasn't a gift or anything. I had was given money or something for my birthday from probably my grandparents or something, and decided that's what I was going to spend it on, and it was definitely worth it. Although, today maybe I've spent a little too much money. With that said, though, I did want to talk, like I said, about the channel, because there are changes I would like to make, though they're not changes I can make right now, and it's not changes to the content. We are still going to be featuring Bionicle. That is what this channel is for, after all, but rather we are going to focus not just on Bionicle, on Lego builds that I have designed myself, and also sort of taking myself out of the equation when it comes to some types of videos, review types of videos specifically. Because I don't think that the channel is necessarily fully about me. I do try to sell myself on this channel because as a builder, as someone who has designed these parts, it is as much about my creative process and getting that out to you guys, so that when you want to sit down and build something, you don't feel like it's a daunting task, right? But you feel like you can do it. Like I said, I've played with Bionicles pretty much all of my life, but really wouldn't be what I consider a good mockist, if you will, until like maybe 2018, 2019, when I started sort of developing my own language, if you will. And that's sort of how I treat Bionicle, how I treat building with Lego in general, is like a language. And I know that that sounds a little bit weird. It sounds difficult. I don't actually do a very good job with languages. But what I mean by that is Bionicle, Lego, Technic, etc. system pieces all have a sort of set of rules that are followed. They can only connect in certain ways. And yeah, there are some areas where you can bend those rules, but for the most part, you'll become familiar with each piece and sort of how it interacts the more you experience it. And so essentially, as you create, you become more familiar with different pieces, you become more familiar with different types of assemblies and sort of how to use them together. And that's what I mean by it being like a language, because you learn it in similar stages, right? You know each of the individual pieces, and then you sort of learn the grammar, if you will, the application of those pieces and how you can tie them together to solve certain problems. And you can start to plan this out in your head and really problem solve without ever even really touching the pieces, which is really cool stuff. Definitely not something that I started out being able to do, but it's a skill that you hone the more often that you build. And it's also worth, going out there and just taking inspiration from things that other people have designed, so that you can sort of learn different building techniques and just kind of develop your own style, your own language. Or if there is somebody else's style that you like, lean on that and work that into your own builds as well. Anyway, so as I was mentioning with the channel here, the main goal is to create more edited content. Specifically, I do not have a high-end computer by any means, so editing is pretty much out of the question for me. I do have Wondershare Filmora 9, although it's not a great program, especially on this computer. It's quite laggy. I also have DaVinci Resolve, but I cannot get that to work with OBS no matter what I do. I have looked up so many tutorials, been on forums for OBS, forums for DaVinci Resolve, and Blackmagic, etc. And nobody seems to be able to answer the questions that I have, which is really unfortunate. But that's the way of the internet sometimes, and especially when it comes to forums, they're not always super helpful. With that said, though, the YouTube obviously offers the ability to edit content. For the most part, I don't edit my content in the way of removing gaffes and things like that, or if I make a mistake, misspeak, because again, I want you to understand that this is not just about myself, but I'm not a perfect human. I don't always build models that look excellent. Sometimes I build things and I'm not happy with them. There are Rahi that I've built in the past and scrapped. There are Rahi that I've prototyped until I've developed them further into something I've been happy with. And the same is true for every endeavor that you take on, right? You're always in the phases of learning. I would even say, as a master, if someone considers themselves a master in something, they're still learning. Maybe it's just their ego's a little too big. I don't know. However, as I was mentioning, one of the other projects that I'm working on in the background, sort of getting the ball rolling on, is a collaborative effort within the community itself. This is to bring together not only small creators, but large creators as well, and reaching in and out of the Bionicle community to try and put together a bit of a video event, so that we can each sort of experience each other and each other's building style, but also to bring the different aspects of the Lego and the Bionicle and Technic communities all sort of together in one place, if you will. And hey, if it's something that you guys end up enjoying when it comes to fruition, then, that's awesome. Maybe it's something we can do again in the future. That's not anything that's going to be happening soon, though. That will be in maybe the next 6 months or more, because it always depends on everybody's schedule. And I really want to make sure everybody has a chance to not only get their videos and things like that created, their products created for these videos, but also have time to do their editing and whatever they need to do and work it within their scheduling as well. So that's something that's kind of going on behind the background. Also, I want to mention that although there are some big creators that are currently sort of subscribed to this idea, confirmed to this idea, there are no obligations for any creators by any means. So, I understand that we're all adults having very busy lives, so we can't always commit to a project like this, With that said, though, yeah, let's go ahead and show off the little guy here real quick, because why not? As I mentioned, Tahu is my very first Bionicle set I ever owned, so I made a mini Tahu, and I find him super adorable. I don't know specifically what I'm doing with the head connection there, because I don't think a T-bar is exactly the right piece to use, but gosh, if he isn't just super cute. Yeah, so I really like him, and I've built this guy, and he just kind of sat on my shelf up there forever. And not only did I build him, that is my original How Mata mask, so it's a little bit special to see it here as well. And it's just a neat little homage to the character itself. Very, very simple build. Maybe you can figure it out, I'm not sure, but if you can, then hey, show it off in the Discord or on Instagram. Tag me if you want. Anyway, so links for Discord and Instagram in the description below as always. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, it would help out to subscribe. We are getting bigger, and if by the 12th of December, we're around 1,500 subscribers, we will have literally doubled our subscriber count in 1 month, which is insane to think about. So again, thank you very much for watching the video. And hey, if you find it wholesome content, you can help out by sharing, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.